Hi, it's Kevin. This is going to be the first in a series of videos on how to cancel an event or reschedule an event. Unfortunately, so many companies and organizations are having to cancel events and trips and meetings right now because of what's going on with coronavirus. And there's a lot to canceling an event the smart way. There's contract terms, there's force majeure terms, there's negotiation, there's attrition, there's just a lot to look at. And so I thought I would put together a few videos to share some of my experience and maybe some tips and tricks for anybody who is going through this now and could use a little assistance. I'm going to do a series of videos over the next week or so, and then a Facebook Live session later this week or next week where you can ask questions in real time. And I'll see if I can help anybody out with situations that they may be in. I'll tell you quickly who I am. I've been doing group travel events and meetings and incentive trips and special events for about 16 years. Worked with groups of all sizes up to about 2,000 people, both domestic and international, mostly corporate, some nonprofits. Now we focus on mid-sized companies. We focus on events from about 50 up to about 500 people or so. And our typical event is a turnkey event management program. We do site selection, contract negotiation, plan the itinerary, food and beverage, each event, all the suppliers, on-site staffing, registration, website, and then we're on-site as well to manage the event and deal with any issues or questions that may arise from suppliers or from attendees. We do incentive trips, national sales meetings, executive retreats, gala dinners, and as each of these events typically involves multiple suppliers, as many as 7 or 8 suppliers for a big event, we've handled thousands of contracts, and they all had to be negotiated, and we've had many programs that have had to cancel for terrorism or other health issues or hotel sanitation issues or after 9/11 or other epidemics. We've been through this many times, and I really learned how to not just cancel an event or just reschedule an event, but really to negotiate that and understand the subtleties in the contract and how to use, negotiation and also just relationships with the hotel or the supplier to try to find solutions that are mutually beneficial. If you're in the middle of a situation right now, canceling an event that you could use some help with, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to see if I can help and do a free consultation. Just reach out by email or whichever method is best for you. So the first question is, should you cancel your event? So if it's an event that's taking place in the near future, in the next couple weeks, it may be very obvious that you need to cancel, depending on the location and size of your event. It's a more difficult decision for future events. And I know that there are probably millions of events coming up in the next few months that people are trying to make a decision about. Do we cancel? Do we take a loss? Do we reschedule it? Do we make it a virtual event? It's hard to know what's going to happen in April, May, June, July. So I think the most important thing that I want to convey in today's video is that the worst thing you can do is just call the hotel, call a supplier and say, we're going to cancel. We'll look at the details later, but we're canceling. I think that puts the supplier in the position of saying, okay, it's canceled, here's what you owe me, or here's what I'm keeping. It gives all the control to that hotel or the salesperson or the supplier about how that's going to be handled. What I recommend is to go a little more slowly and read your contract carefully. You want to carefully look at cancellation terms, force majeure, deposit schedule, how much of your money do they already have, what's your cancellation penalty now versus waiting. Does it cost you more if you wait and cancel later? You want to look at attrition terms. How much attrition do you have remaining, whether you had planned to use it or not? What's that attrition schedule compared to the cancellation schedule? When looking at the force majeure clause, you want to look at whether you have real evidence that allows you to cancel within that force majeure clause. If you do, it's a very different situation than if it's subjective, if you could argue it this way or argue it that way, or if you really don't have the evidence, but you need to cancel anyway. These are all factors that you want to consider. Also, you want to keep in mind your relationship, your past relationship with the hotel. Have you done multiple programs there? Is it possible, or can you give them the impression that you will do more programs there in the future at their facility? These are all factors to look at. If you choose to cancel, there's a whole set of factors to look at and things that you could negotiate and options about how to handle that. If there's an option to reschedule or postpone the event, that presents a whole other range of options. I found in my experience that hotels and properties would much rather, especially hotels, would much rather have a full event, even if it's a little bit later, than just take a cancellation penalty now. A contract does not reflect all revenue that a hotel earns from an event. A hotel contract may just include rooms. It may include food and beverage. It may include some housekeeping or service fees or porterage for the bellmen. But once a group is on site, there's spa, there's sometimes room upgrades, there's lots of food and beverage, there's lots of bar tabs, there's lots of additional revenue that can come in. So I think there's a lot of room for negotiation in canceling or rescheduling an event. Just as an example, and I'll talk more about this in another video, I have an event planned in Cancun for late next month. And while our contract does not give us the option to cancel without penalty with our force majeure clause, we were able to negotiate moving the event to a later date this year with no penalty at all. And that's not something that the hotel would have offered. If I just called the hotel and said, listen, I want to cancel, I don't know that they would have said, we'd be happy to let you move it to another date at no charge. It's something that came about as a result of a series of conversations with the hotel salesperson. So see, these are some of the factors that I think need to be looked at, and just go a little bit more slowly so that when you contact the hotel, you can say, here's the situation. The force majeure clause does cover us or doesn't cover us. Here's how we look at it. Here's what we'd like to do. Here's what we're asking for. And then there's a negotiation process. You may not get exactly what you're asking for, but you're in a much better position than if you just call and say, I cancel. Let me know what I owe you. So that's what we're here for, to help companies and organizations advocate for themselves, or we advocate for them and help look out for your best interests and look for mutually beneficial solutions. So that's it for today. I'm going to do another video probably tomorrow looking at contract terms in more detail, about force majeure, cancellation, attrition, deposit schedules, and talk about some of the subtleties there that you want to look at in canceling or rescheduling a contract. Again, feel free to reach out if there's an issue that you're dealing with that you'd like some help with. I'm happy to take a look at your contract and see if I can provide any insight. And otherwise, I'll see you again here tomorrow or Friday. Have a great day. Wash your hands.